Welcome to my presentation. I'm Esmeralda De Leon, and today we're going to discuss what makes an action good. Today, we will explore a timeless important question of what makes a good action. What makes a good action? This question has been asked for thousands of years across different cultures and time periods. Philosophers have debated endlessly, offering unique answers based on their understanding of human nature, society, even the meaning of life. In this presentation, we'll focus on four major perspectives. Plato, morality as objective and eternal. Aristotle, morality throughout character and virtue. Buddhist philosophy, morality throughout intention, compassion, and mindfulness. Last, Thomas Aquinas, morality as natural and divine law. These thinkers may seem very different, but each give us a powerful tool for thinking about ethics and how we live well. I'll explain their views, compare their ideas, and then share which I personally agree with the most and why. By the end, I hope you be inspired to think about your own values and how to decide what's right or wrong. The first philosopher we're going to discuss is Plato, Harmony and Truth. Let's start with Plato, one of the earliest and most influential philosophers in Western thoughts. He believed that moral godness is objective and eternal, something real that exists beyond opinions or feelings. For Plato, everything in the world is a reflection of perfect forms, ideal version of things. The highest of these is the form of the good, a kind of ultimate truth that guides all the truth. According to Plato, a good action is a good guide by reason and that brings harmony to the soul. He saw the soul as having three parts: reason, spirit, and appetite. Just like society has rules, worries, and working in balance, a good person has these parts working together under the guidance of a reason. Even today, his influence can be seen in education system, leadership models, and the belief of knowledge is essential for moral development. The next philosopher we're going to talk about is Aristotle. Aristotle was a Plato student who took more a practical and ground approaches. Instead of focusing on eternal truth, Aristotle looked at human experience. He believed that everything in nature has a purpose, including us. Our purpose, he said, is to live a life of reason and virtue, which leads to a flourishing, a deep, meaningful kind of happiness. Aristotle argued that we became good by forming good habits. Virtue like courage, honesty, and self-control aren't things we are born with. They are things we develop by practice. For example, we become brave by doing brave things. He also emphasized the golden mean, which means finding balance, and courage lies between cowardice and recklessness. I personally relate to Aristotle's idea the most because they focus on progress, practice, and growth. His ethics feel human, flexible, and encouraging. This reminds us that morality is something we build through our choices, not something we instantly have. Buddhist philosophy, morality through our intention, compassion, and mindfulness. Buddhist philosophy brings a completely different non-Western perspective. Instead of fixing rules, it focuses on intention, awareness, and compassion. The Buddha thought that actions are good when they reduce suffering for ourselves and for others. It's not just about what we do, but why we do it. A moral action comes from a mind that is calm, wise, and free from self-desire. The idea is part of the Noble Eightfold Path, especially like right actions, right speech, and right livelihood. What's interesting is that Buddhism avoids strict moral rules instead of encouraging mindfulness, being deeply aware of our actions' impact in the world. Today you can see Buddhist idea in psychology, especially is mindfulness practice that help people manage stress, anxiety, and relationship. It teaches us that ethics isn't just about following rules, it's about becoming more conscious and compassionate. Last but not least, Thomas Aquinas, natural law and divine reason. Thomas Aquinas was a medieval Christian philosopher who blended faith and reason. He believed that all moral truth comes from God's eternal law, but that we as humans can understand part of it through reason. His idea is known as natural law. Aquinas thought that an action is good if it's aligned with human nature and help us fulfill our purpose. Like Aristotle, he emphasized virtue, especially justice, prudence, and courage, but added that our moral purpose is ultimately tied to God. One of his key ideas is that both intention and the means matter. It's not enough to do the right thing, you have to do it for the reason and the right way. Aquinas' influence is still strong today in theology law. His work helped people think deeply about religion, belief, and rational thinking can work together in ethical decision making. Now that we have looked at each philosopher's view, what makes a good action, let's take a moment to compare their strength and some critiques of their ideas. Starting with Plato, his biggest strength is that he believes in a universal and unchanging truth, something higher that guides morality beyond personal opinion. This gives his theory a strong foundation. However, a common critique is that his idea can feel too abstract. Not everyone relates to the idea of forms or a perfectly rational soul. Next is Aristotle. His strength is how realistic and habit-based his ethics are. He shows that being a good person is something we grow into throughout practice, which makes his approachable very practical. One possible critique throughout is that his guidance can be a little unclear. Since he doesn't give strict rules, people might interpret the right balance differently depending on the situation. This can make it harder to know exactly what's the right thing to do. Following with Buddhist philosophy is the strength that the deep focus on compassion and intention, which makes it very thoughtful and emotional aware. But a critique is that it's less rule-based, so it can be hard to apply in situations where clear moral rules are needed. Last but not least, Aquinas. His view is powerful because it combines faith and reason. He gives people a way to understand morality using logic and belief in God. However, his theory assumes that God exists, which not everyone agrees with, so it not work for people with different or non-religious beliefs. My personal position, agreeing with Aristotle. Why I agree most with Aristotle? Out of all perspectives I studied, I feel most connected to Aristotle. His view makes sense to me because it focuses on what kind of person we're becoming, not just isolated actions. According to Aristotle, morality is like a skill. You didn't become virtuous overnight. It takes effort, practice, and time. I find this comforting because it means we're allowed to make mistakes as long as we keep learning and growing. His idea of the golden means also resonates with me. Life is full of choices that aren't black and white. Being kind does not mean a pushover. Being brave does not mean being reckless. Aristotle helps us find the balance. Most of all, I appreciate how his ethics are rooted in real life. They're not just philosophers. They're for anyone who wants to live well, treat others with respect, and become a better version of themselves. Conclusion. So what makes an action good? As we have seen, there's no answer to this question, but each philosopher gives us a valuable insight. Plato teaches us that goodness is about harmony and eternal truth. Aristotle shows us how to grow into virtue throughout practice and balance. Buddhism reminds us to be mindful, compassionate, and intentional. Aquinas combines reason and faith, helping us think about how divine purpose shapes morality. All of these ideas still influence how we think about ethics in school, laws, therapy, religion, and everyday life. For me, Aristotle's view stands out because it focuses on actions, growth, and realism, self-improvement. It's a reminder that we all have the potential to live a good life by becoming a good person, step by step, choice by choice. This was my presentation of what makes a good action. Thank you.